Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Get Back to Work, a series in which I talk about topics while playing a work simulator. Today we're in Derail Valley. I'm midway on a journey to Harbour and Town to deliver these three pallets of whatever. I parked the train up at the end of the last episode, you see, to give myself a fighting chance of actually being in control when we got underway. Am I in control? Who knows? Right then, we're off to the proverbial races. Hang on, let's get moving. That'll do the trick. Right, we're currently here. I'm about to take the left branch, so we're going to go up and round and over the top, and then head down towards Harbour and Town, where I will struggle to find the right destination for my delivery. Business as flaming usual, and that leads quite neatly into today's question du jour, which comes from William. And it says, wax prosaic or poetic or both or neither, depending on how I feel about waxing, on the idea of a system's collapse and maybe how it might be related to games or current events or historical events or the late Bronze Age or Bronze Age collapse or something random or nothing at all. Crikey. Well, keep it light, keep it fluffy. See, the thing about getting older is that over time you learn a few things about this and that and the other, or you catch half a documentary, or you hear 10 minutes of a radio show about something that's interesting, and you retain snippets of it, and that formulates what could be called wisdom in later life. Now, I don't profess to be particularly wise, but I've seen stuff. And I've had time to. I do consider myself to be relatively thoughtful most of the time, and therefore, you absorb bits and pieces, and you regurgitate it later on, and you rationalise the world off the back of how you look at it. Now, systems collapse. I'm not an expert, not even remote. None of these, very rarely, I should say. Could any of these get back to work adventures be considered expert information? It's just a bunch of stuff that I've picked up along the way. So systems collapse, what are we talking about? Well, on a societal level, it's epoch enders. It's end of the era. It's when when dynasties and empires collapse and all of that kind of business. All of that real big stuff that none of us have seen in our lifetime. Not one of us has witnessed this happening before, and according to historians, I did a smidge of reading just to make sure I wasn't going off kilter on an entirely random topic. Historians reckon it takes about 250 years for an end of era, for a societal collapse to take place. Crikey, these trees are all over the joint here. Someone needs to go and get out a bushwhacker, or whatever you tend to call it, chainsaw maybe, electric tree trimmer. This is good. I'm comfortable at this speed. We can go faster. Oh, all right then. Go on. Give it a little tick or more. We might as well. When's my next turning, and which way are we going? You want to stay right at the next junction. Okay, cool. How are we doing? Are we picking up speed? Does this feel like we're downhill? This feels mostly flat at the moment. I want to make sure the train's under control before I turn my attention to discussing the topic. See, with regard to 250 years, however, I don't think that's accurate anymore. I think that's going to be proved inaccurate when the next collapse comes. It's not going to be a 250-year period, although you could argue that were there a collapse in the next 50 years, 100 years, something like that, that you could pin that on the Industrial Revolution. Maybe, but I'd say that the Industrial Revolution's already behind us, a long way behind us, and that we're now into the Information Revolution or the Digital Revolution or Revolute, whatever you will. What I do believe, however, is that we are at the end of the golden age of consumption. My own descriptor for it, but you can see it. You can see it happening towards the end of the 20th century. I read a few articles on the subject of pre-millennium tension, and how historically there has always been a massive evolution in in changes to the construct of the world around the millennium. Huge changes that occur within kind of a 50-year window either side of a millennium. And that you get on a smaller scale towards the turn of the century as well. So, you know, a millennial change, and you kind of go like, well, what's changed come the millennium? Flipping loads. I mean, if you were to back up 25 years, so late 70s, you could probably back up a little bit further with the first moon landings and the space race, which was then followed by the advent of computers basically taking over just about everything, and the adjustment in the way that labour is distributed around the world, and certainly in the Western Hemisphere, in the First World, the closing down of manufacturing and heavy industry on the scale that we've seen it. And I think all of those kind of collect into maybe that. I mean, that you would say is maybe the end of an industrial revolution kind of thinking, because mass production, or certainly in the West, because China certainly isn't slowing down. They are. I mean, they are. China's really interesting because, for a huge number of reasons, China's really interesting. But in this particular case, you know, they still have heavy industry going on a scale that is kind of equable with where the West was 50 years ago, if not before. The collapse of the Soviet Union has left Russia. The move from state ownership to private ownership of Russian steel production, for example, enormous. I think one of the world's richest men is the Indian guy who owns, I think it's Mittal Steel, and that's emerging territories around the world that are now building up their infrastructure at a heck of a pace, bringing them closer and closer to kind of Western Europe and North American standards. And I mean, you know, there's a huge topic to be had on you know, why Western Europe and North America are leading the pack, and it's from colourful history. There you go. That's as diplomatic as I can put it, while simultaneously brushing it off for a topic that goes nowhere. Really goes nowhere. I mean, the West and North America, we've got to where we are by exploiting what we had, and then exploiting what we conquered. The end. That's about the size of it. But societal collapse. Do I think there is a society collapse? Why do I call it the end of the golden era? Because we are no longer in or we can no longer delude ourselves in that we exist in a system of plenty. The way that economics has worked in the West for the past for the past 100 years plus. Other way, you had it right first time. You sure? Yeah, I think we're going to go through this cheeky tunnel. I might be over speed a little bit. All right, hang on. No, you were right the first time. Oh, switch the hoofer doofer. No, because you're facing the wrong way. Oh dear. Yeah, okay, we're going to need to come to a stop here. No, see, I said we need to stay right, whereas in fact we need to stay left. No, you were correct the first time. You do need to stay right. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Second and third guessing myself there. Yeah, following World War II, there was just an enormous explosion of new technologies and new manufacturing capabilities, which meant there was a system of plenty. The establishment of work on a ready basis, and this probably goes back to the Great Depression in the late 30s. All this talk of the West, incidentally, I know it's rather like I'm ignoring the Australians and the New Zealanders, the Kiwis, I think you'd call them. For all intents and purposes, we're all one in the same there. Do you want to put a little bit of brake on? Yeah, all right. Just a little bit. There you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep her under control. Let's not crash it now. All right, brakes back off. Just keep your eye on the speed. Now, apparently this is 70 rated. Yeah, we'll see. What now? Yeah, Great Depression. There was a boom period following the end of the Great Depression, and nothing drives technology forward as much as war. War drives technology forward at a rate of absolute sprint. Going into World War II, if you think about flight, you were looking at looking at prop planes coming out of World War II. 5-6 years later, you've got jets starting to emerge. Not to mention the advances in rocketry that were made as well. They all came out of evil, which is people killing people. And some are lesser evils where you're killing the right people, but it's still evil. It's still wrong and bad, and we shouldn't be doing it. But at the same time, sometimes you've got to go and put a bullet in someone, and it's a relatively joyless experience. But there it is. But it advanced manufacturing to the extent that we entered an era of plenty, and the problem since then is that that generation that were born later, so the baby boomers that were born after the Second World War, got to enjoy a world in which everything was possible. It was a time of plenty. You could still get away with a single income in your house, and you could afford a house. Since then, you've had population exploding. You've had the need for households to have multiple incomes, or living more within your means, which is what we should be doing. But at the same time, you've had various different commercial interests that exploit either loopholes or the framework of the world to drive profits ever higher and more lucratively. You've got so if you take the housing crash in 2007-2008, for example, which almost caused a global economic meltdown. In fact, it was a global economic meltdown, but it also almost caused a really bad one, or the end of the economy as we know it. Really demonstrated that the era of endless growth is artificial, and has been artificial. The problem we've got now, of course, is that all of the rules and the setup that was put in place for baby boomers reaching retirement age, and this is more about countries with a strong social safety net, who have chosen to. I advocate for neither in this video. If you want to see me advocate for one or the other, see the previous video. With a strong social safety net, baby boomers are living so long that the state has been unable to keep up with the standard of those payments, and so subsequent generations are going to struggle to get anything like the same level of support that they've got. Now, you can point the finger and go, "Oh, I blame you there, Tintin," and you go, "Well, you could do that, but at the end of the day, no one's. We've known about the pensions time bomb. It's been called in the UK. We've known about that for decades. It's been a thing that we've known about, and just to talk about state pensions just for a moment. State pensions are a good thing, but when they were first introduced, the state pension, or rather the official retirement age for those who are going to be receiving state pension, was 2 years under the average life expectancy. 2 years lower than the average life expectancy. The thinking was that for the last couple of years of your life, you wouldn't have to work, and the state would cover your essentials, give you enough to live on. You've done your bit. Thank you very much. Cheerio. Right? These days, however, the state pension age is 15 to 20 years below life expectancy. The pension age should have moved along with life expectancy. Always should have moved along with life expectancy. Now you might go like, well, yeah, but if I'm... so a friend of mine said, you go, well, that's all well and good, because I came up with a solution to it. I said, that's all well and good, but if I'm a scaffolder, I'm hardly likely to be wanting to jig up to a roof and be placing tiles when I'm 72 years of age. You kind of go, no, what you should be doing at that point is training people who are younger than you to do that job. You shouldn't be the one who's necessarily monkeying your way up the scaffolding. There's no easy way to do it, but the fact is that the pot that exists doesn't support the volume of people that are going to need to receive it, and we're not putting enough there aren't enough working people now, people of working age, contributing towards the pots to support themselves into the future. And because Western government is driven towards let's make sure we're re-elected, they don't bite the bullet and try and solve the problem, or rather go after solving the problem. Right, town and harbour, where are we going? They try it in France on a regular basis to push the retirement age out, and the goodly French people out there burn the entire country down. I love the French. I love them. No country in the world says no quite like the French. They're going to go, we need to change things so it doesn't fall apart. No! Burn everything down, everyone out on strike. That's a rather menacing Frenchman there, but at the same time, beautiful. Love it. Are they right to protest in such a fashion? It depends if you want the system to keep working, and that's just it. The system is not going to keep working. What are you even looking for here? I was actually just asked after a harbour and town overview. There we go. So if I'm heading out to E, which I am, we want to hang a left. Right. Okay. No, left. Oh, you're so droll. Yeah, whatever. Right. You're already going the right way. Okay, brakes are off. Give it a tickle. This is going rather well so far. I've yet to have significant disasters. We're going for E8 in. Yeah, we are. That's where we're going. That's where we're off to. Right. I've sidetracked myself a little bit. Why are we at the end of the golden age? Well, all of this factors into the same thing: is that we've been living beyond our means in a significant fashion. Now, I happen to believe, because it's true, that man-made climate change is going to cause a rise in sea levels. Now, the counter-argument to it is a global rise in temperature, right? There is a counterpoint, which is, well, the sun cycle and all of that kind of business, and and I don't know categorically better than anyone else on the planet. Anyone who tells you they know without a shadow of a doubt is full of crap. They don't know what they're talking about. Is there an increase in the world's temperature? Yes, that much has been demonstrated. We've got the graphs, we've got the measurements. That's a fact. It's happening. Is it being caused by the sun? It might be, a little bit. Is it being caused by humans setting fire to things for 200 years? While simultaneously growing to a population of 7+ billion, almost 8 billion? Yes, I think that's probably quite accurate as well. And here's the thing, is that whether or not the amount of stuff we've been setting fire to is the main contributing factor or not, I think we can safely say that if we were to not be setting fire to things, it probably wouldn't be as bad, right? And I heartily believe that that's the case, right? That we shouldn't be setting fire to things. Plus, and this is a radical point of view that no one seems to make, partly because it's just reasonable. We've got a finite amount of fossil fuel, right? Oil, particularly. There's a finite amount of it. There's only so long that we can keep pulling that stuff out of the ground. We will run out of it. And therefore, maybe not setting fire to all of it as quickly as we possibly can is a smart thing to do. We might discover that there's a ruddy great asteroid coming towards us, and we need all of the oil that we can get. And we've burnt it all. You kind of go, oh, well, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? And you're going to go, yeah, it is a bit of a shame. If only we hadn't burnt it all. So let's keep some of it in reserve, not burn it, and at the same time, while we are still burning it, let's make things that don't need to be burned quite as much in the future. Windmills and water mills and all the other stuff, and solar panels that come from the sun. They go, oh, but it uses so much power to set them up. Yes, and that's why we should be spending the power while we've got it on setting them up, because we can't do it once it's all gone. Well, you're out of luck there, Buster. Right, let's go find the right track. I am going to teleport because I'm lazy. Right, E, yeah, that's 5. Yeah, E, that's 4. Okay, E, this will be 8 over here. Yes, Bob. Right, okay. So that's that one. Yep. No, the drop-off's going to be a bit awkward. Yeah, but I'll just abandon the train. Oh, no, wait, it's this one. The drop-off's not awkward after all. Okay, this one. So we want to make sure we're pointing the right way. Okay, give me that one, please. Yeah. Oh, yeah, gone are the days where I just roll down here and chance it. Yeah, I probably could, but I'm not going to. All right, yeah, that's good. Yeah, and then right again. Thank you. Go on, hit it then. There you go. Is that about it? No, one more. Right again. Okay. And then you're still going to want to keep an eye on it just to be on the safe side. What now? Yeah, so, I mean, look, the end of era that is upon us at the moment is largely consumer driven, right? Is that there are going to be tough times ahead, and there are going to be tough times ahead as we run out of stuff. Now, we're not going anywhere near as... If the science is right, and we need to start tackling temperatures right flipping now, or it's too flipping late. No government that has to be re-elected is going to make those changes. And then you'll get various people going, well, if China aren't going to do it, and if India aren't going to do it, I don't see why we should do it. And you kind of go, someone has to lead. Someone has to lead from the front. Not to mention the fact that, I'm going to cover this in another video, someone has to cover the fact that someone needs to go first, and it might as well be you. If you're not part of the solution, you continue to be part of the problem. That's also true. I don't care who you are. China can burn as much as they ruddy well please. We can't stop them, but we can at least stop consuming quite as much Chinese stuff, in my humble opinion. Anyway, why is this going to cause a tumult? Because the amount of climate-based migration that is going to occur is going to be extraordinary. You only need to see how many people leg it when their country's getting blown up for whatever reason. An awful lot of people immediately run away from their country what is being blown up. You kind of go, well, okay, yeah, I mean, that seems relatively sensible. And you could go, because it is. You can hang around and possibly be blown up with your country if that's how you get your jollies. But fundamentally, most people go like, no, you know what? I don't think I'll stick around for my country to be blown up. I think I'll leave. And so they do. Now imagine that, but your country's going underwater quickly. You know, where it says in a couple of years' time, this entire country will be completely underwater. Kind of go, oh, well, maybe we should leave then. Now, those who can leave will leave early. Those who can't will leave later. And then all of a sudden they'll find that there aren't enough supplies of food and potable water to be getting on with, which is going to cause a problem. Nothing causes a collapse in civilization faster than food running out. It's estimated that 3 days after the food runs out, society breaks down. Now you can see that on a small scale if you look at events like Katrina in New Orleans. Now a lot of the reporting there is overblown, but even so, things fell apart real flipping quick after Hurricane Katrina put that city underwater. I mean, the city was always going to end up underwater because it is built below sea level. Foolish, but there you go. But it's a city built below sea level. And once places start flooding, people go away from those places and they go to other places. And when you're talking about entire countries that have all of a sudden lost their ability, money me. Yep, job done. Good. Chuck that. Get me little wallet. Little wallet, thank you. Top her up, please. Top her up, please. 23 G's. And then let's go look at the old fees. And then be appalled. Yeah, good. Okay. You want $7,500 out of me to clear L80. I didn't even do anything. Is that my new train? Because if it is, that's disgusting. Yeah, and you can't buy a new license in order to fix it more cheaply until you've paid the fees, remember? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, go on then. Do you have manual service? No, I don't have manual service. Just flipping. It's such a rip. There you go. Go on. Go on, have the money. You go, insert wallet. I'm inserting my wallet. Where do you want me to insert it? I'll insert it real good. Yeah, so once people start moving to avoid... Go on, just... Alright, look away from it. Walk out the other side of the road. Oh, no, I've done it already. There you go. It's already stolen all my money. There we go. Good. Licenses, please. Yeah. I'd quite like the self-service license. You can't afford it. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. Can I afford anything? I could have a longer train length. No, I don't think I'll bother. No. So that's what's going to cause the biggest collapse. It's going to cause the collapse of life as we know it. And the era of plenty coming to an end is going to ratchet up prices, and we're starting to see that happen already. Now, you can argue that that the conflict in Ukraine between the Russians and the Ukrainians is at least partly to blame there, and certainly it probably is. But it's only the sign of things to come. One conflict between two countries, and gas prices start going through the roof, shows that whether our usage is, or rather supply, can't possibly hope to keep up with the usage that we want, and that's worrying, right? You should be. That's concerning, and it's not. It's like, at some point, business as usual will resume there, and we'll go, oh, phew. But anything could rock up to disrupt that supply again, at which point the prices rocket again. And if anything, what we know about prices is once they've gone up, they ain't coming back down. No, that's not how it works. So that's what we need to keep an eye out for. And frankly, if we can be preparing for it now by, say, having energy independence, it would be a good thing. But refugees are going to be coming, and they're not going to be coming in, in the tens of thousands. They're going to be coming in the hundreds of millions. That's the people that are going to be displaced and moving, and that's going to lead to all kinds of just hellishness. Global food shortages. Civil wars all over the shop, as people try and keep people in, out, or the other. Police states to try and stop people crossing any kind of a border. It's all plausible. It's all plausible, and that will mark the end of this great golden age that we're in now. And it's coming, and it's too late to stop it. We can mitigate how much damage it's going to do. This wasn't intended to be a pro-eco thing, but it is the clear and present danger in our current age. We're not doing anything about it. I'm not doing enough about it. And I'm a believer, and I'm not doing enough about it, not even slightly, because I'm rather enjoying being comfortable. Thanks very much. I'm rather enjoying consuming more than I need to. Thanks very much. I quite like, being warm, having cheap clothes, all of that kind of business, driving an enormous gas-guzzling SUV. I quite like all those things, and I don't want to stop doing them. But I'm going to have to stop doing them, and someone has to lead, and if not me, who? There you go. So there you go. There's a whole other one I could do on this, and I might do it later on. About systems collapse in games, and that's an interesting one because there is an era ender coming up there. I apologise for there being a lack of gameplay. I'll run around a bit to give you something visually stimulating to look at. There is an era ender that is coming along, and that is the end of loot boxes. Because at the moment, loot boxes can't end because where do you draw the line? There is too much money being made by too many people. You might go, well, it's just EA pretty much, right? And you kind of go, nope, the entire mobile industry is built on them. And that is an awful lot of tax revenue to just chuck away. A lot of tax revenue to just throw out of the window right there. So on the one hand, you don't want to do that. On the other hand, you don't want to exploit people with it. And the people griping about it right now are gamers who are, who feel aggrieved at being asked to pay extra for stuff. There's nothing wrong with feeling aggrieved for wanting to pay extra for stuff. Nothing wrong with feeling aggrieved about exploitative practices of that kind. But don't for a second that you think that, what about the children argument carries any weight with me, sunshine. It's not. You don't want to pay extra cash. And I'll tell you, Star Wars Galaxies. Now, it's a massively multiplayer. No. Star Wars The Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic. The massively multiplayer Old Republic game, me and herself played that from day one. We happily paid the subscription. We played through the entire story together. We had a whale of a time. It was great fun. We laughed a lot. We both played as Sith, obviously, because you would. Who wants to be a goody two-shoes flipping Jedi? Boring. And then when we finished, what's all this then? What is all this then? This looks like that looks like 20 grand. Hold on a moment. No, it looks like 2,000. This is the lost property shed. Does it say lost property on it? It certainly is. Oh, well done, devs. I take back many of the things that I have said in the past. That is a lovely feature. This is stuff that I've just left lying around and they dropped it off here. Fantastic. However, I appear to have trapped myself in the wall using science helmet controls. Right, hang on. Let's chuck all this lot on the floor, just in case there's another pile of cash on the table somewhere. Yeah, I don't care about any of this. Don't care about any of this, or that, or this. Okay, well that's good. No, that was that 3 grand. I'm glad I potted around now. That's nice. When they went free to play, the game got markedly worse overnight because they switched to a loot box based, here's how you get extra stuff. Now I immediately went out and I bought 30 quid's worth of loot boxes. I opened all of them and 90% of the stuff in them was absolutely useless. And that was the point at which I said, I'm not giving you any more money. The end. That's that then. Had it been 50%, had I found fit, all I wanted was costume parts. I just wanted to dress up nice and look swanky. I didn't need XP boosters, I don't need time savers or any of that rubbish. All I wanted were costume parts. Could I get them? No. All I got was a load of old rubbish. A load of old free-to-play mobile horse hockey. And I was so appalled by it, I never gave them another penny. Had they given me what I wanted, they probably could have had 10 times the amount of money out of me. But that's the power of being the consumer, friends, is you get to make that decision. Anyway, that's going to come to an end at some point, and let's pick on EA, because why not? They have a multi-billion-dollar addiction to Ultimate Team and the revenues generated by Ultimate Team. Multi-million-dollar addiction. Multi-billion-dollar addiction. It forms a huge part of their revenue, and they're a publicly traded company. If they were to close all of Ultimate Team down tomorrow and take that financial hit, their stock price would go through the floor. It would tank. It would absolutely. It would be like nuking the company. They can't just switch it off. And you kind of go, well, that's a good thing if you you kind of go, they've got themselves an addiction and they can't wean themselves off it. EA are responsible for a hell of a lot of good games over the years. Arguably, they've lost their steer on just make good games, lads, versus just make a lot of money, lads. And that's the problem with publicly trading your company, is you're told to focus on the latter rather than the former, and that's a shame. It's a pity, but don't hate the player, hate the game. You can hate the player and the game if you like, but you've got to hate the game fundamentally. Right, there you go. I've kind of covered the topic a bit and a lot, and here and there and all over the place. Don't have nightmares, EA. Well, EA probably should have a nightmare, because if that gets legislated against, they are screwed. They are so screwed if it gets legislated against loot boxes. So screwed. It won't happen. Between lobbying and someone doing back a napkin maths on the amount of revenue generated from the mobile industry, they'll go, well, I mean, it's the right thing to do to outlaw this stuff, but it's not a good thing to do if we want to keep ourselves solvent. So it's not going to happen. Yeah, it just isn't. And unfortunately, that's the problem with living in the real world, is that you can look at as many idealistic aspects of the world as you like, but at the end of the day, you've got reality just sitting there, and the reality of the climate changing as it is doing, is that we can't just switch off our dependence on oil. We can't do it. We can't just switch it off, because this golden age has been entirely powered. In fact, historians in the future will refer to this as the oil age. And it will spread, and it will be about 250 years. Well done, historians. It will start at the Industrial Revolution, and it will end some way midway through the 21st century. Yeah, that's when they'll decide that was the era where, or maybe it'll be the fossil fuel age or something along those lines. But it'll be the era in which we just set fire to everything and made a heck of a lot of money as a result. Yeah, good. Cheerio. That's no, not quite cheerio. Just a little bit of a wrap up. I have limited numbers of Get Back to Work still available. After I have got through those limited numbers, I'm going to take a break from it for a bit, so I could do some regular Let's Play stuff. There you go. Feel free to debate any and all of these issues in the comments. Just remember that everybody has a slightly different perspective on things. Doesn't make them right or wrong, any more than I am right or wrong. Your individual perspective is that of your own. Don't take anybody else's perspective as golden. Come up with your own thought. Don't let other people tell you what to think, least of all me. I provide you with enough that you can then go and make your own chuffing mind up. I'm not here to try and tell you to believe anything at all. Believe nothing and everything and all of it and none of it. I've been Colonel Failure. I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.